Close it.
Judge, I've started the recording. Can you hear me, Judge?
Morning, Judge.
Morning, my lady.
Good morning, my
Right,
lady.
please.
Lady.
May it please the court, my lady, morning.
Morning, Nelisiwe. May you please place the matter on record?
Morning, Judge. Thank you. Today is the 15th of September, 2022. Calling the matter of Life Esidimeni Inquest, case number I-001 of 2021. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Doctor, you are reminded that you're still under oath.
I understand that, my lady.
Over to you, Ms. Bandilenda.
Thank you, my lady. Good morning, Dr. Silabano.
Morning, Counsel.
Now, Dr. Silabano, you recall that where we left off yesterday, we were talking about the letter from Mr. Mosanoki that was dated February 2016. You recall that?
Okay.
Okay. Now, I want you now to go to page 18953, please. 953, 18953.
Okay.
Okay, you'll tell me when you have it.
I heard it.
All right, can you...
Just a second for me, please.
Yes, my lady.
Yes, you may proceed.
Thank you. I'm going to give you a moment just to read that letter. It's not very long.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, you may proceed.
Thank you, my lady. Now, Dr. Silvano, this letter is dated 2nd June 2016. You see that?
See that?
Okay. And it's a letter from SADC
Okay.
to yourself, Mr. Mosanochi, and Dr. Manamela, correct?
That's right. Yes.
Okay. I want to just go through certain aspects of this letter, please. Now, it starts off by saying that the context in which the letter is written is that it's come to SADC's attention that the Life Esidimeni facility in Waverley was emptied of mental health users on Tuesday, 31 May 2016. And that what is imminent is the Randfontein facility being emptied by the end of the week. You see that?
I see that.
Okay. Now, SADC then says to you they've received a series of reports from family members and no problem. And they identify certain themes that have come up from those reports. And you'll see in the subparagraphs 3.1 to 3.9 that some of those themes are listed. You see that?
See that.
All right. I just want to take you through some of them, and then I'll ask you some questions, okay? Now, the first thing is that it says that mental health users were moved out of Life Esidimeni facilities without their families being told that they were going to be moved or where they were going to be moved to. Then paragraph 3.2 says mental health users being moved to NGOs that are little more than empty houses filled with beds without any professional care, without security or supervision, and some without sufficient beds for mental health users to sleep on. See that?
I see that.
Okay, then look at 3.3. Mental health users being moved to Cullinan Hospital, where their clothes have been stolen and where the conditions have been shocking and inhumane. And then 3.4, adult mental health users from Waverley being moved en masse to Baneng, a facility for children, because NGOs are not ready or non-existent. Okay, you see that?
See that.
Now look at 3.8. Mental health users going without proper care, supervision, medication, food, accommodation, security, and other needs after being moved to NGOs. And 3.9, an extremely high rate of negative outcomes, including relapse and deaths following the relocation of users. You see that?
See that?
Okay. And the letter goes on to tell you in paragraph 4, and I'll just summarize, that families of the mental health users have been trying to contact the Life Esidimeni facilities and the department to report these matters, and that SADC has told them to continue to do that, to raise individual cases. Now, I want you then to look at paragraph 5, please. We're now on page 18954. And paragraph 5 says, the actions of the department in this regard are in direct contravention to the statements that it made in court, in meetings, and in the press about involving family members in decision-making processes and ensuring that mental health users are appropriately cared for. The approach of the department in this matter is unacceptable. It has put the lives, safety, dignity, and mental stability of mental health users at risk and has caused untold concern and anxiety to family members. And Ms. Chambers then ends the letter by asking you to respond as a matter of urgency. Now, have you seen this letter before?
I don't recall if I saw the letter, but my name is there, so I wouldn't really want to heckle around that.
Okay. Would you agree with me that the issues raised in the letter are serious and they're concerning?
Well, of course, I take it that Casey Chambers must have gone to the NGOs and walked around and everything and came up with this conclusion. I wouldn't quarrel with her. I wouldn't know that.
But you agree that they are serious and concerning?
Well, the way they're being put here, yes.
And at this point in June, this is the 2nd of June, we now know that people had already started dying. The letter also says that in paragraph 3.9. You see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay. Now, this letter comes, as I say, the beginning of June 2016. You told us yesterday that the minister had called you in around, was it November? Am I recalling that correctly? September. Okay. So that's how many months? June, July, August, September. So 3 months, approximately beginning of June. So maybe 3.5 months.
September, August. You can say September, August. September,
August. Okay. So let's say 4 months before. So it's 4 months before the minister calls you and tells you to move people out of NGOs. Would that be correct?
It's true.
Okay. Now, I want you to now go to page 18955. And I'll just give you, I'll give you a moment to just read that.
18955, okay.
That's correct.
We should go down. The June, go down.
It's a page after the letter.
Yes. Okay. I see that's, I responded, yes.
Yes, so this is an email from, first, if you look down, in fact, you know, with emails, one must read from the bottom up to the top to read it sequentially. So if you look down at the very bottom of the page, it says, "Good morning, Mr. Selebano, Mr. Mosonogi, and Dr. Manamela."
Okay.
Yes, and I assume that is where she attaches. I just want to double check. Yes, so if you look at 18956, she then says, so it says, "Good morning," and then please find attached above a letter for your urgent attention.
That's right.
And the date of that is 2nd June. Okay. So now if you look above, which is halfway down the page, this is now your response to the letter, which is also on Thursday, the 2nd of June.
Same day, yes.
Exactly, same day. And you write to her and you say, "Hi, Cassie. Thank you for the email. I'm sure the colleagues who have been copied will engage with the contents of your email. Mr. Mosonogi will provide me with a status report, and you may also talk to him directly. This is a painful chapter for all of us. You see that?
I see that.
What did you mean when you said it was a painful chapter?
Like I said, I mean, she raised issues that you asked me that these are difficult issues. I was responding to the issues she was raising, that based on what you are saying, it's painful.
What is painful about it?
Well, Cancer, you in the letter, they say that people have been moved, clothes are stolen at CCRC. There's a possibility of relapse and death. You can't say it's not painful.
Yes, there's not a possibility of death. There is an extremely high rate of negative outcomes, including death. So she's saying to you that deaths have happened already.
Well, like I said, I have no quarrel with what she said.
Okay. So you accepted that this was a painful chapter, and what does that mean for the department? You were the head of department. If the head of department says this is a painful chapter, how are we to understand that from a department perspective?
You understand that the department, its sole purpose is, focused on patients. And if stakeholders out there don't see it that way, and they have issues around that, then it becomes a painful chapter.
But isn't it true, actually, it's not that if stakeholders see it in a particular way, it's that people have died under the care of the department. People are being placed in conditions where they don't have enough food, they don't have enough proper accommodation and care, and families don't know where their family members are. Isn't that what the problem is? It's not that there's perception from SADC that there's something wrong.
I didn't say that. In fact, I just said, I suppose Casey must have done and walked around all the NGOs or parts thereof and came to this conclusion. So I'm not quarreling with that. So it's not a perception. I'm saying if the stakeholder says that, we then have to respond because it creates problems for us.
Yes. So when you said to the court yesterday that you weren't aware of the deaths and the conditions at the NGOs until it was raised in the media, I think that's, if I'm recalling your evidence incorrectly, tell me, around August. That's not strictly correct, because you received this letter in June.
Now, let's go to the letter again.
Yes. You want me to give you the page number again?
Now we have it. Just wait. An extremely high rate of negative outcomes, including relapse and deaths following the relocation of users. It doesn't say where are the deaths, who died. I don't want to go into those type of, you see, I didn't want to get into quarreling with the letter now, but I don't want to quarrel with the letter. If she says that, she didn't say to me, for instance, HOD, so-and-so at such a place passed away, so-and-so at such a, she didn't say that.
Dr. Silabano, she says in paragraph 2, it's come to the attention that the Life Esidimeni facility in Waverley was emptied of mental health users on Tuesday.
Yes.
And in paragraph 3, she says, I'm now telling you about the reports from family members who were moved from Waverley. So it's not that she's talking very generally. They may have been sent to different NGOs, but she's telling you that the people that were moved from Waverley to NGOs, these are the conditions that they've been moved to, and this is what they've experienced.
No, you wanted to comment. You wanted me to comment about death. I'm saying when I read what she was saying, I didn't want to engage in that way, where I would say, why are the deaths? Where did they happen? What was the cause of death? Who passed away? I didn't want to go that road because it's not always the best way of engaging.
Well, so what is the best way of engaging, Dr. Silabano, when you are the HOD of a department and one of your stakeholders writes to you and tells you that where mental health care users have been moved under the care of the department, there are these things happening? What's the right process?
Well, my right may not necessarily be your right. I said, hi, Casey. Thank you for the email. I'm sure the colleagues who have been copied will engage with the contents of your email. There's a real reason for that, because I wouldn't be able to check physically all over where patients have been put. And then I said, Mr. Mosenuchi, as the project leader, will provide me with a status report, but so that we now don't waste time, I said, you may talk also to him directly.
Did you
I said
contact
that.
Mr. Thank you. Did you contact Mr. Mosonogi after to talk about this letter specifically?
I wouldn't know, but I said it yesterday that Mr. Musunufi and I would meet as frequent. So it's probable that I spoke to him. But if he said, no, I don't remember that, I won't quarrel with him. But we would meet every day, every second day. It was like a brother.
You would meet every second day, but you're not sure whether you raised this serious and concerning letter with him.
Yeah, concern. Because we are now dealing with this thing, you think every time that I would meet anybody in the department, all that I would be talking about. He was in planning. I could have spoken to him about planning or any other issue.
Did you raise this issue with the MEC? Did you say to... Sir, I'll let you answer.
I don't recall. I was just answering directly to that. I don't recall.
You see, my difficulty here is, Dr. Selebano, and I'll give you an opportunity to respond to this. My difficulty is that you are the head of the department. You were the head of the department. You were the accounting officer, but that doesn't mean that you're just responsible for finances. We went through all of your obligations at the beginning of this cross-examination, and I can take you back to that if needs be.
It's not necessary, I think. Continue.
My difficulty is that you, as the head of department, receive a letter like this telling you that people that you have transferred somewhere are dying, that there's not enough food, that they don't have proper accommodation, security, the list is here. And you do nothing. You say, deal with the project leader, and you don't follow up.
I don't think you're being fair, Council. When you say do nothing, you are now practically expecting that then I must go to this NGO, check that NGO, but they're colleagues. That's why they were there. They're colleagues. I can give a separate example, my lady. They're colleagues who do these things for me.
If I may, yes, the court has noted your responses. Yes, you wrote a response to say that the Mr. You let me go back to that quickly. Yes, you are saying Mr. Mosenego will provide you with a status report, and you may also talk to him directly. But now what council wanted to know is, did anything happen after that, as far as you can recall? We understand that this is a matter that took place long time ago, but the fact of the matter, did anything happen after that? This matter was brought to your attention. You had the letter, and there was this response, right? Obviously, the person who wrote the letter expected something to be done. Did you follow the matter up? We understand you're not in control of your people. But the fact of the matter is, you said to this person, these people will have to deal with it. Then did they provide you with the report? Anything that you can tell us today?
I can't recall, my lady, whether they gave me a report or not, or we discussed the report at our a bigger meeting relating to these issues. Why I'm saying that is because it is highly probable that we must have discussed this, but I don't have minutes to prove that, and I can't even say, yes, I told the project leader to do this and this and this and this and that. It's highly probable, but I was avoiding to come up with probabilities. Okay. The truth is something might have been done, but I can't 100% say that.
Can you carry on, Councillor?
Thank you, Dr. Selebano. I think you've answered the question now. Thank you, my lady. Those are my questions for this witness.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Thank you very much. If I may check who's next now. Mr. Pinar, do you have questions to the witness?
May it please the court, my lady. Having considered the evidence presented by the witness, Dr. Selebano, being the evidence contained in his statement, Exhibit JJ2, his evidence in chief, as well as his evidence presented during cross-examination at this stage, the concessions made by Dr. Selebano and the admissions, I have no further questions for Dr. Selebano. Thank you. My lady, may it please the court.
Mr. Van Bergen?
Thank you, my lady. My lady, I just have one issue for clarification, which relates to the evidence by Dr. Silabano pertaining to the litigation in March 2016.
Yes.
If I may just address that with him.
Yes, you may.
As your ladyship pleases. Dr. Silabano, good morning.
Good morning, Council.
My name is Van Bergen. I act for Life Esidimeni in these proceedings. Doctor, you testified whilst being cross-examined by my colleague, Ms. Rajab Budlender, regarding the affidavit that was made in the March 2016 litigation and the intended transfer of users to Takalani Home. You said that the department did not discharge the patients and that Life Esidimeni had decided whether to discharge or not. Do you remember that evidence?
Yes.
Doctor, I'm not sure whether it was what you sought to convey, but what I gained from your evidence in that regard is that you were presenting to her ladyship that the discharges to Takalani Home in March were not at the behest of the department, but was in the normal course of discharge by Life Esidimeni. Is that what you sought to convey?
Yes, I wanted to say that, but also to say that technically speaking, is the multidisciplinary MDT that would sit and look at individual patients and decide on a discharge or not. That's also what I wanted to.
Yes, Doctor, we're not going to look at the nuts and bolts of how that's done. What I'm addressing is, and as you have indicated now,
Yes.
is that you were in fact conveying to her ladyship that those discharges did not form part of the termination process of the contract with Life Esidimeni.
Yes, they were not part of the transfers. They were just discharges.
Yes. Doctor, I have to put to you that that evidence is not in line with the evidence that has been heard thus far. In fact, those discharges were the first discharges consequent to the termination of the service level agreement with Life Esidimeni. Do you dispute that?
Come again, Council. I want to hear you well.
Those discharges, the 40 users discharged to Takalani, to which the litigation in March 2016 related, were the first discharges consequent to the termination of the service level agreement by the Department of Health. Do you dispute that?
If you say that, as far as I can recall, there must have been an email that Dr. Mkachwa had sent to say, I'm trying to stretch back that to say, in fact, there were issues of numbers. Is it 40? Is it 50? Is it 54? There was something like that, my lady. If I recall well, I speak under correction. And the department was saying that that information to discharge came from Dr. Mkachwa, and SADC got to know about it. And that is why here it was not really a transfer of patients, but a discharge as done.
Doctor, I get the impression that you are relying on your memory, which you have indicated throughout your evidence is not very good.
Yes, no, I agree.
Yes. I want to refer you to page 1511 on case lines.
1511.
As your ladyship pleases.
Okay.
Yes, I hope the witness is there. I'm there already.
I'm here, yes.
Doctor, I would like you to read this affidavit, and you can read it up to paragraph 17 on page 1514.
You said what paragraph, Councillor?
Paragraph 17
Okay.
on page 1514.
Nine. Nine.
You said up to 17. Eh?
As your lady pleases.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I think I'm done. We can just wait for the
Okay.
witness.
Yes.
Are you ready, Doctor? Have you read
Yes,
up?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Thank you, Doctor. Doctor, perhaps just by way of background, before I deal with this affidavit, the evidence, and this is evidence both from Dr. Mkatshwa, Ms. Zanele Buthelezi, as well as with Dr. Sophie Lenkwani and Ms. Sanelo, was that Life Esidimeni had insisted that for purposes of discharges in terms of the termination of the service level agreement, because Life Esidimeni did not know where the users were going to be discharged to, it insisted that they handed over the users that were to be discharged to clinicians from the Department of Health. Are you aware of that arrangement?
No, I'm not aware of that arrangement.
The evidence was further that at Randfontein, the two clinicians from the Department of Health were Ms. Salome Mashile and Ms. Frida Sanello. Were you aware of that?
I would say they were not clinicians. I think they were officials from the unit, mental health unit.
From the mental health department, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Now,
they're not clinicians.
well, they were officials who were placed there to receive the patients or the users from Life Esidimeni, and they would then ensure that the NGOs who were to receive the users in question would receive them. Now, if I may refer you to the affidavit, Dr. Wadvala, as you would have seen, did sessions at Randfontein Care Centre as a medical practitioner. I may mention she was also later, on the 2nd of April 2016, formally appointed by Dr. Manamela to assist in expediting transfer and discharge of users. Now, you will see.
Can I just? She was also a board member, I think, of the mental health board. I think she was a board member also.
Indeed, she was. You are quite correct. You will see in paragraph 6 on page 1511, she says that in October 2015, I was informed that the Gauteng Department of Health had given Life Esidimeni notice of termination of the contract, with the result that the mental health care users were to be discharged and transferred from Life Esidimeni facilities. I'm sure you don't have any quarrel with that.
I don't have a quarrel with that.
Yes. If I may then, I'm not going to take you to each and every paragraph. In paragraph 10 on the next page, page 1512, she says in November 2015, it became public knowledge that the Gauteng Department of Health intended to discharge 50 mental health care users either home or to Takalani Home. As a result, the South African Depression and Anxiety Group, SADAG, and others launched an application to the High Court in Johannesburg to interdict the department. As a result of the application to interdict the Gauteng Department of Health and the settlement that had been reached, the process stalled. I assume equally you don't have quarrels with what is said there.
Yeah, I'll just go to where the settlement had been reached. The process stalled. Yes.
Yes.
Just there, yeah.
Then in, I beg your pardon?
Like information, man. Vision is sorry.
Mr. Sibara, I think you unmuted.
My apology for that.
Thank you. Continue.
Thank you, my lady. Doctor, if I may then refer you page 151, the Gauteng Department of Health renewed its efforts and indicated that they wanted to ensure that the process of transferring all the mental health care users from Life Esidimeni was completed. You won't have a quarrel with that, would you?
Yeah, except she says 2016. I wish you could have said January or February. Remember at that time, the cutoff date for the termination was March. So if she probably wanted to say January, February, it would have been more accurate.
Well, Doctor, let's look at the next paragraph.
Okay.
At approximately the end of February 2016, early March 2016, officials of the department, Ms. Salome Mashile and Ms. Frida Sanello, were working from the Randfontein Care Centre to implement the process of transferring mental health care users.
Process of transferring. Okay.
Right. Ms. Mashile gave instructions that 50 mental health care users must be prepared to be transferred to Takalani Home, NGO in Soweto. You see that?
I can see that.
You can't dispute that Ms. Mashile gave those instructions, can you?
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't know whether she did or not.
Well, if you don't know, then you can't dispute. Not so, Doctor.
No, if you don't know, it means you have no knowledge to say yeah or nay.
Yes.
So it's not that, yeah.
The mental health care users that were required were intellectually impaired adult females, and we advised the Gauteng Department of Health that 10 mental health care users would be prepared per week and not 50 mental health care users at once.
I didn't know that.
You don't know that?
I didn't know. I wouldn't completely know about those micro details. I wouldn't.
Yes. Doctor, if one can then move to paragraph 16 on page 1514. SADAG re-enrolled its application, and on 15 March 2016, the High Court Gauteng Local Division, Johannesburg, dismissed the application and made an order that the Gauteng Department of Health could discharge 40 mental health care users. You see that?
See that?
And then Dr. Wadvala explains the process that was followed. Doctor, from this, I submit, it was clear that those discharges and the transfer that followed was not in the normal course of events at the decision of Life Esidimeni, but was in terms of an instruction from the Department of Health in consequence of the termination of the service level agreement. Do you dispute that?
Don't know that. As far as I knew, there was a preparation to discharge and not really transfer patients.
Doctor, I will argue this if it becomes necessary, but it is clear that you do not have the knowledge about this, and on that basis, you cannot really dispute what has been said here. Isn't that the truth?
So, Councillor.
Yes. Thank you, my lady. I have no further questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Van Becken. Mr. Pitlela, are you ready to follow?
Thank you, my lady, as the court pleases. My lady, I have a few questions that pertain to some of the aspects that were not covered.
Yes.
One, there is a theory that was proposed by Dr. Talatala, that is on page 234, 89. And again, there is an issue of that was raised by Dr. Mkachwa regarding an incident that happened in 2007. I just wanted to establish from this witness whether he was aware of those two incidents in particular. The other issue would be the issue of non-payment of the NGOs. That is another thing that we would like to establish whether the head of department, Dr. Silban, was aware of those. So my questions, my lady, relate to those three aspects in particular.
Okay, let me hear about this theory. What is it that you want to establish?
If I may, morning, Dr. Selebano, how are you?
Morning, Council. Morning, Council.
My name is Joe Pichel. I represent 5 persons of interest in this matter.
Thank you.
Those people who are attached to NGOs in different capacities.
Thank you, Council.
Now, as a starting point, I would like to take you to page 316, paragraph 15.
316 paragraph?
15, my lady.
Paragraph
15. Yes. Now, you'll see that there is a statement.
Can you
And it reads
first introduce the document to the doctor, please?
This document is part of what we may call, lady, let me just, I'm struggling a bit with case lines, but
It starts from page 310, if I'm not mistaken. It is an affidavit by, I don't know, Miss, is it Sutherland? Is that the document?
Yes, my lady.
Yes.
That is the document. The only thing that I wanted to find out from the doctor is that there is a statement that is made in paragraph 15, which speaks of him. And it also speaks of the planning process. And if I may read the statement, my lady, it says, Mr. Selebano's indication that in the planning process.
Can you start from where the paragraph begins? I'm taking into account the fact that remember, this is not his statement, and he was not afforded the opportunity to read the statement. And I see it's a long statement consisting of 27 pages, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct, my lady.
But is it proper to question a witness like this without him having had sight of it?
My lady, if we go to paragraph 15.
Just before we go there, I hear you. I'm just concerned. I want the witness to look at this affidavit first. Will that not be proper to give him an opportunity to go through this affidavit?
Yes, the court pleases, my lady.
I see it's 10 to 11. It's 10 to 11. If we break now and then I don't know, am I correct? I see this consists of 27 pages. Perhaps we should give him time and then we resume at 11:20. Will that be fine?
For the benefit of...
Yes.
If I may, my lady, for the benefit of the witness, I only have one question in respect of this statement, and that pertains to paragraph 15, bullet point number 1. That is the only question that I have.
Because my concern was if he didn't read the statement and you haven't introduced him to the document. But let me hear his counsel first. Craig, I saw your hand was up.
Yes, lady, I wanted to suggest that my learned friend be allowed to put the question, and if it's apparent that Dr. Selebano needs to read more widely, then let him read. But it may be a waste of time for him to read the whole affidavit. I don't know until I know.
Okay, no, that's fine. My main concern was that the document was not even introduced to him. But now that obviously Mr. Pitlela can just try some introduction to just introduce the document to him and then pose the question, that will be fine. Exactly. Because if it's okay. Mr. Pitlela?
Court pleases, my lady. Dr. Selebano.
Yes.
From page 310, there is an affidavit by a certain Inge. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Sutherland. She describes herself as being employed as a chief forensic investigator in the Special Investigation Unit. Now, I do not propose that you would know that the contents of this document in particular, but there is a statement that is, there are allegations that appear on page 15, and that is bullet point number 1. I just wanted to establish whether these allegations are otherwise correct or incorrect.
Where it says Mr. Silabano, indication that in planning process for LE, the department didn't look at the profiles of patients, but had considered the only costs. In fact, the first thing here to say is that the planning is done by the mental health care unit. So I would be, it will be remiss of me to start talking about profiles of patients. They are the ones who know better about that. But in any case, they say there was a meeting and this comes from the minutes. Maybe then a recording of those minutes, at least minimum, to show me indeed that this statement, as referred to, was made. I made it myself. It doesn't make me understand how can I say such things like this.
No. Dr. Silibano, I understand. The only thing that I wanted to understand, to establish from you, was whether during those meetings, if you were present, indeed the profiles of patients were considered. That is all that I wanted to establish. I'm not saying that the statement is correct or incorrect, or the veracity thereof. I merely wanted to understand the process as it unfolded.
Maybe through you, my lady, I'm not too sure. You see, when the question says the profile of patients, I'm wondering what does it mean? The medical records, pharmaceutical records, what their diagnosis, all those things. I'm not too sure whether those things can be discussed in technical meetings. Normally, you don't want to discuss those type of things. People who are there are infrastructure people. They know nothing about patient profiles.
Thank you, doctor. That's fair enough.
Yes, proceed.
Doctor.
Yes.
The version of the NGOs was that they were given patients that fell outside of the category of patients that they were promised at the beginning of the project. Do you have any comment on that? In terms of their degree of functionality, their medical conditions, comorbidities. In some instances, some NGOs were promised children, but instead they received adults. Were you aware of these issues?
Council, I wouldn't even know about those things. These are operational issues that are done somewhere down at an NGO. I was not even there. I wouldn't be there ordinarily. I'm not ever there. So I can't even comment, but I heard during throughout the year, the sittings, what you are saying, but I wouldn't know anything about that.
So it was never an issue that was discussed with you at any time in your position as the head of department?
That their NGOs have been given patients that they don't want. How can that be discussed? It was never discussed. I mean, how does somebody come and say, hi, HOD, well, I'm going to give an NGO a patient that is not the right patient? I mean, how can you discuss such a thing, Council?
So it was never discussed.
It was never discussed.
Can we move on, please?
Escort, please. You mentioned that there were budgetary constraints for the department,
yes,
that it was operating over budget.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, Council, you're right.
Now, at the commencement of this marathon project, did the department have the money to pay the NGOs? Was it something that was budgeted for?
Can you put it differently? Because you see, you don't understand the budget item we're talking about there. It's goods and services budget item. So in that goods and services, there would be money for services. As to whether somebody said this goods and services is for NGOs, I don't get involved. That's where now the guys at finance, they make all those type of decisions.
So you can't answer the question.
I can't
You don't
answer
know.
that question.
You don't
I can't
know.
answer. I don't know. Yeah.
This is a
23489.
Yes.
This is part of the record, the transcript of the record of the arbitration.
Okay.
And this is the statement or the evidence of Dr. Morgan Mkhatshwa.
That's right. Where do you want me to
Now,
read?
if you go,
okay.
if you may read. I would refer you in particular to paragraph 15.
Be lines, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, my lady, line 15.
You see where the line 15 is?
If you look at the left-hand side of the document, there is numbering. So if you simply go to 15 there, it says, it's highlighted Dr. Morgan Mkhatshwa, and it starts with, we wanted a plan, and so on. Do you see that, Doctor?
Yes, I see that. I see number 15, Dr. Morgan Mkhatshwa. I see that. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Now, what I wanted to establish, Doctor, were you part of the department in 2007?
No, I was working for Netcare that time.
Okay.
Yes.
Then I believe then that what is said here might not be relevant to you.
I don't know anything about it. Yes.
Then I'm going to take you to page 25383.
Two, 25383.
Correct, my lady. Now, you'll tell me if you are there, Dr. Mkhatshwa.
We are there. We are
This
there.
is again.
He's not Dr. Mkhatshwa, please.
Oh, sorry. Apologies, my lady.
Otherwise, I will fight with you.
Apologies, my lady. Dr. Silvano, I beg your pardon.
No, it's okay.
Before I deal with this portion of the transcript, which is ascribable to Dr. Talatala, you mentioned that you received an instruction from the minister to basically close down the NGOs. Am I correct in phrasing it in that manner?
No, you are misinterpreting it. The discussion between me and the minister was remove the life Esidimeni patients and take them to our hospitals, not close NGOs.
Yeah, but Doctor, that's semantics. If
No,
we are
not.
moving, if you are taking patients away from NGOs, then essentially it means that they no longer have patients under the Marathon Project. Do you agree?
But you said to me that this is what the minister said. I'm telling you what the minister said. Close. No.
It's fine. The court has noted the evidence. Can we proceed?
Thank you. If the court pleases.
Continue.
Now, this was an instruction.
This one? Okay.
Correct?
I can't hear you clearly. You said this was, I didn't hear you.
It seems to be paused, my lady, or frozen. I don't know.
Myself?
I'm saying this was an instruction. No. I was referring to the
okay.
witness.
All right. Yes.
Dr. Selebano, this was an instruction. Am I correct?
Where are we? Are we speaking on
What you discussed with the minister regarding what you call the removal of patients from the NGOs?
Okay, was it an instruction? I said to the minister, you will have to talk to the MEC because ordinarily, as an HOD in a province, I don't take instructions from the political head at the national level.
All right,
So
just a second. I'm sorry to interject here. Listen to the question attentively.
Yes.
Yes, we have that evidence on record.
Okay.
All what Mr. Pichela wants to know, he wants to know whether that was any instruction from the minister, yes or no?
No, I wouldn't categorize it as an instruction, no.
Okay, continue.
What
Mr.
would you
Pichela.
categorize it as?
No, I mean, I'm going to go around again what I said, that we spoke, then I said, speak to the MEC, and this is what happened. Not everything.
In fact, actually, from what he's explaining, if I may, I don't want to be. It's like now I'm too much in the arena, but from the explanation that I got from him, he's trying to say he doesn't take an instruction from a political head. So he doesn't regard that. Is that what you mean?
Yes, the political head of the national department.
Okay.
So did you act on the basis of the discussion that you had with the minister? Did you then proceed to do what the minister asked you to do?
I'll go back again. The answer is yes, that happened. But I said to the minister, talk first with the political head of the department, because I don't take instructions from the national minister. I take them from the MEC. And then subsequent to that, we went on to remove patients from NGOs.
After this interaction with the minister, did you receive an instruction from the MEC to remove patients from NGOs?
I didn't receive a written instructions. It was a big meeting. We said, let's all go there and let's remove as much as we can the patients from the NGOs. There was no written instruction.
Yeah, but you're not answering my question, because I don't believe that decisions of this nature could be taken that capriciously. Somebody must have given you the authority to go and do this thing. Unless you are telling the court that it was you who decided upon the powers that you have to go and take patients out of the NGOs.
Well, Council, I don't know why you're saying that. The story is clear. It started, and it was not taken capriciously. It was a Saturday morning at 8 o'clock where we all met. Professor Rataimane, all national people, we all met there, and a decision was made. So it was not like some such type of decision.
A decision was made that
I've said it that others will go this way. I want to Tswane that we will remove patients from NGOs.
But what I want to know is who made that decision. Simple as that.
You see, I'm sorry again, my lady.
He wants to understand your evidence. The court is confused also. We need to understand your evidence. You are here to assist us, doctor.
Are you saying I should give you one person who said, do this?
Yes, your evidence is that, well, you spoke to the minister. Then you told the minister to talk to the MEC because you can't take instructions from him, right? Then from there, what happened? Because we know from your evidence that you yourself, with the others, ended up removing the patients from the NGOs. So the question is, how did that happen? Did the MEC give you an instruction? Yes or no, whether it is written or not? If not, how did you go about to do that without the MEC's instruction or whoever's instruction, did you do it yourself?
Well,
Assist the court.
I'll put it this way. Let's say the MEC might have given that instruction, and I'll explain why, your ladyship.
Let's say the MEC
might have given that instruction, but the difficulty in saying that is that when people are seated and there's an idea that comes, it doesn't belong to the person. Everybody discusses the idea. Whether is it feasible, can we do it, all of that. So there's no one who can say it was my original idea, that's why it was implemented.
But there must be one person who takes responsibility, accountability.
Okay, on removing patients, I will take accountability for that. I removed the patients in Tshwane.
There you are, Mr. Sibara.
Sorry, my lady, Pichela.
Mr. Pichela, my lady. Thank you.
Yes, your ladyship pleases.
Continue.
Dr. Mkajwa, as the head of department,
not Mkajwa,
did you have the power? So position as the HOD, did you have the power to do as you have done with the project, with the marathon project? Was it part of your powers to be able to do that?
Let's talk about removal of patients in Tshwane and not the whole marathon project. I used my discretion as an HOD in this instance to remove the patients.
So that discretion arises by virtue of your position as the HOD, correct?
You can say that. I wouldn't quarrel with you. You can say that.
Is it a factual thing, or is it? Because if you say you can say that, I don't understand whether, I don't know your powers, the extent of your powers, and I'm trying to establish that.
Yeah, well, departments don't run on power issues. We run on people to guide you in a particular, and then you use your discretion. It's not a power, command and control type of power. No, it doesn't work like that. That's why you find it's difficult sometimes to explain how an idea developed.
Okay, let me rephrase that for you. Did you have the authority then? Let's speak of authority.
Yes, let's say authority. Yes, I could use my discretion and remove the patients.
Can we move? It appears you're going to get the same answer, Mr. Pichela. You can leave that for argument. Thank you.
Who else had this authority besides yourself?
In this instance, or generally?
Generally, or in this instance, to me, there's no distinction there.
No, there is. If the CEO at a hospital can make a decision to remove a patient from one place to another. That's why I was trying to tell you about, it's not a command and control type of structure. That's why I was saying in this instance.
Can we talk about this particular instance?
It's me then. In this.
So there was no one else. So there was no one else.
Yes, I would say, yes, I used my discretion also.
Thank you. Now, at the time when you used your discretion and took the decision to remove patients from NGOs, what motivated your decision?
I'll start again. I had a discussion with the minister, and the minister said, we now are on a negative publicity. We cannot afford to have LE patients in NGOs passing away.
Apologies for interrupting you there.
Yeah. They can't be paid
Yes.
without a contract.
Yes. And this contract makes provision for notice periods to be given. Do you agree?
I should think so, yes. Contracts do that.
Did you comply with this notice period?
No, but you see, that's why I tried to tell you.
Yeah, just a second. There is a hand here. Craig?
Yes, milady. I understand my learned friend's interest in this topic generally, but I don't understand how it's going to assist your ladyship. I don't know where this cross-examination is going, but it doesn't seem to me to be relevant to the issue that your ladyship has to decide.
Mr. Pichela?
Should I?
Yes, you may just step aside, please.
My lady, the issue that we're investigating here, we have a witness in front of us. He's the one who ultimately took the decision to remove Page from the NGOs. He has confirmed as such. Now, that decision in itself, my lady, has had far-reaching consequences for the NGOs themselves. And it also details the relationship that exists between the department and the NGOs in particular. If you take it further, my lady, it says that, and this is where I'm taking my question, my lady, to say that this could have been done at any time. There was nothing that precluded the head of department from terminating or taking the patients away from the patients. I mean, from the NGOs at any time, even in the instance of the first death. The department had an oversight function, so it was not a question of the NGOs being in a proper bargaining position to refuse or do anything of that nature. So that's where we're going.
Yes, Mr. Watbringel?
Milady, as I said, I do understand my learned friend's interest in this matter, considering who he represents, but I still don't see how it assists your ladyship to decide on the two questions that your ladyship has to decide, which is, were there deaths that were not as a result of natural causes, and if so, is there someone who can be found criminally liable? The learned friend has simply said why it's a matter of interest to him and his client, but he hasn't told your ladyship why it's relevant to the issue that your ladyship has to determine. Dr. Silabano has explained more than once that this issue hit the public domain. There was, for lack of a better word, a huge scandal around it. It was raised in the legislature by Mr. Jack Bloom, and the minister said we can't have people dying in NGOs. Get them out, and he got them out. Well, whether he was right or he was wrong, or whether he had authority or didn't have authority, that's what happened. The question is, where does my learned friend's cross-examination go on this? And he hasn't told you.
Mr. Pichela?
My lady, with respect, I beg to differ. Simply, to put it simply, my lady, we are here on the basis of circumstances. The evidence that has been led, the bulk of the evidence that has been led here is circumstantial. Now, we are seeking to connect wrongdoing to the conduct of the NGOs without in particular saying anybody within the NGO did or did not do this. There is no single death that can be attributable to an NGO not having taken a particular action and so on. Now, I understand the difficulty that my learned colleague might have here, but at the end of the day, these are questions that we need to ask this witness. This witness is in a position to answer them. He can answer them any way he wishes, and the matter will then and at that stage. But at the end of the day, my lady, this is relevant to the defense that will be put forward by the NGOs to say circumstances, the circumstances that were created by the department in its failure to pay, in its failure to assist or to intervene.
Thank you very
These
much.
are ultimately what led to the deaths.
Yes, Mr. Ward-Pringle, do you want to say something after this?
Well, my learned friend has just neatly shifted ground. He's now talking about non-payment. Well, if he wants to explore issue of non-payment, that's one thing. My objection doesn't go to his investigation of non-payment. My objection goes to the fact that he's asked the witness, I don't know how many times, how he was authorized, whether he was authorized, whether anyone else was authorized to close the NGOs. Now, Dr. Celebano has made absolutely no bones about this. At the time, he had no personal knowledge. He had no personal knowledge of whether my learned friend's client or any other NGO was in such a dire situation that it was causing deaths. He was reacting to what was perceived right up to the level of the national minister as a national crisis, where, where the perception was, the perception was that people were dying and so on. But your ladyship, of course, at this stage of the proceedings has had the benefit of evidence of all the autopsy reports that exist of people who were directly employed and involved or in charge of the various NGOs. Now my learned friend wants to pursue with Dr. Celebano why he closed and what authority he had to close the NGOs. It doesn't assist your ladyship to decide the issue. And my learned friend is deflecting when he then goes to the question of payment. He wants to go down that road, then he can go down that road. That's a different road.
Okay.
Not the one that I'm objecting to.
Mr. Pitlela, I'm going to close this point. Please go to the relevant facts. I'm going to close. I think the issue of where did he go get the authority, whether he had authority or the powers to close the NGOs, I think that has been canvassed sufficiently. So we're going to take the lunch adjournment, the tea adjournment. When we resume, you continue.
Yes, your
Right?
ladyship, please.
Yes.
Let's go, please.
Because I still wanted to check as to where you were going, but I'm not yet there. But at this stage, I think that one you have canvassed it sufficiently. Where is the witness?
I was aborted before I reached the destination, my lady.
The witness can come back.
I'm here. My lady, I'm here.
Yes. You are warned. The court is going to take the tea adjournment. As I warned you yesterday, that oath will still continue. The court is going to take a tea adjournment and we will resume after, which will be at 11:35. Thank you very much. Court agents. Pitlela and the witness? Yes, doctor, you are reminded that you're still
Please,
under
my lady.
oath.
Yes, I'm still under oath, my lady.
Mr. Pitlela?
Yes, court pleases, my lady. Dr. Silvano, we were dealing with the issue of your authority. We are moving on from that. Doctor, when you took the decision to remove the mental health care users from NGOs, was there a contingency plan in place by the department?
In what sense, Council, if you don't mind, what do you mean by contingency plan, so that I understand?
Like, since you are, isn't it these people were housed at NGOs, and now you are taking over, you are recalling them from the NGOs. Was there a plan how you are going to deal with them now?
Yeah, we took them to our hospitals. What happened on that Saturday, during the night, I called CEOs. I've said it again, my lady. I called CEOs from Pretoria West, Vescopis, Tshwane District, Kalafong, and psychiatrists from Vescopis. We all sat Sunday morning, and we discussed how we are going to, and I called EMS, because they are the ones who transport patients. EMS was there, then we agreed, let's remove them, and we spread them inside those hospitals.
If I'm to understand, or maybe the question that it begs the question in my mind, why wasn't this done in the beginning? Why the need for NGOs? If there was capacity to accommodate all these mental health care users in these various institutions, why wasn't that the option that was chosen?
We're talking about a certain number of patients here. We're not talking about a large number. It was in the Tshwane area. We're talking about that.
Yes.
Yeah. So the comparisons don't really work.
No. What I understand from what you're saying, Tshwane had the capacity to accommodate mental health care users that were within its operational area. Would you agree with that?
I didn't say that. No, I don't agree with that. I didn't say they had the capacity. I said I called them and I said, we have a situation here, and they explained everything, and they said we will do what we have to do to assist. That's what I'm saying. Then everybody said, I can pick up this, I can pick up that, I can pick up this, I can pick up that. That doesn't really say you got capacity. It means you are stepping up to assist. I don't know,
Okay.
unless capacity means something different.
Can you move on, Mr. Pitlela?
Yes, court pleases, my lady. So, doctor, there is an issue that was raised by Dr. Talatala. If you recall, I asked you to.
Yeah, with the page, I can tell you the page.
25383.
Come again, page?
25383, yes. We're there.
15383.
25.
25.
25383, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Have you had the opportunity to read through this document, this conversation or this evidence?
Okay. Up to where do I read everything, or where do I start?
No, just start from page 25383.
Okay.
And also to the second page. It's essentially from paragraph 20, but for context, you can read the entire page of 25383 up until 25384.
325. 384.
From 25383, you can read the entire
Okay.
exchange.
Okay.
From 2583, the last paragraph ends on page 25384.
84. All right.
Yeah, I'm just going to concentrate on those portions.
Okay.
Judge, can I just ask that the witness position the screen in the middle?
Okay. Is it
Thank
fine now?
you. That's
Okay,
fine.
sorry about it. Okay. Okay, I'm ready.
Are you ready? Okay,
Yes,
just
yes,
bear
yes.
with me. Yes, you may proceed, Mr. Pihlela.
Yes, Your Lordship, please. Now, Dr. Silibano,
Yes.
this is part of a transcript of evidence of Dr. Talatala. It's made under oath. Now, what I wanted to know with reference to paragraph 20 and what is stated there, was there a plan? Yes, just at the bottom there, was there a plan to build 900 additional beds, 300 in Vescopies, 300 beds in Tara, and 300 beds in Sterkfontein?
That infrastructure commission wants to build Tambo Memorial. It's an infrastructure commissioning.
You lost me there, Doctor.
I'm saying you want to know about whether did we. I would have said, if you say, did you commission to build those three the 900 beds in those three? I would say yes. There was a commission from the infrastructure to do that for us.
Okay. And according to Dr. Talatala, this was a deviation from the deinstitutionalization plan that government had adopted at national level to say there must be deinstitutionalization, and which basically formed part of or gave birth to the Marathon Project and the closure of Life Esidimeni.
What is the question, Cancer?
I'm saying Dr. Talatala says it's a deviation from that plan. You planning or commissioning to build 900 additional beds or more at these institutions was a deviation.
Really, you want me to say, you want me to comment on what Dr. Talatala said? Is it really fair? Because I don't know what he means by deviation. Let me just tell you a small thing. I can assure you, even if we had started to build, please forgive me, my lady, even if we had tried to start building at 2016, I can assure you those hospitals would perhaps even only now when they're finished. That's how it works in government. So to deviate with building a hospital that we know very well that it will not even take 3 years to finish. So what deviation? I don't understand that.
Okay, let me try and define it for you. Let me give you a context then, if you bear with me, Dr. Sullivan.
Okay.
Yes, I see, Mr. Watpringle. Apologies, I'm now calling you a doctor. Hey, there are a lot of doctors here. Dr. Talatala, Dr. Mukachwa, Dr. Sullivan, Dr. Watpringle. Hey. Apologies.
My lady, I'm once again. Yes, perhaps. Yes,
Yes,
Dr.
you may step aside. Thank you.
My lady, I let this go for a while in the hope that it was going somewhere, but with great respect, I keep having to refer to the questions your ladyship is going to have to answer at the end of this inquest. And I'm really, I've racked my brains. I can't see any relevance to what our learned friend is dealing with now. You see, again, it may be interesting to him and may be interesting to his client, and his client may take satisfaction if he manages to ascertain that the removal of mental health patients from the NGOs was never justified or something, if that's where he's going. But in fact, he's not even there now. He's now talking about whether the termination of the was not flying in the face of a plan in state mental health hospitals. Well, what of it? How does it assist your ladyship with anything? Mr. Petlela is not here to just indulge his curiosity. He's here to ask relevant questions. And with respect, these questions are irrelevant. And he's relying on what clearly amounts to speculation on the part of Mr. Talatala. He says, well, this is my belief. Well, interesting it may be, but relevant it's not.
Mr. Petlela?
Yes, God please, my lady. My lady, it's not a belief. The witness just confirmed that there was a plan to do that. So there is some degree of truth in what was stated by Dr. Talatala. And the question that I'm asking him now is, we all know that there was a policy of deinstitutionalization. That is what led to the Marathon Project. Being that, and also the closure of Life Esidimeni, because those decisions were taken with deinstitutionalization in mind. But here we hear that at the same time, running parallel to the deinstitutionalization, there was a plan to build additional beds at these institutions, which would fly in the face of the deinstitutionalizations that we're talking about. Now, my lady, it's
to take the witness through the evidence of Dr. Talatala at the arbitration. I hear that. But then is it not something, if you want to, I thought you were going to direct this to the questions before court, right? So far, he has responded. And then don't you think it's a matter for argument if you think maybe it can be of assistance?
My lady, I was merely trying to, because the witness, from the way he answered, he doesn't seem to understand what the question is about, because he was saying, I don't understand how that can be institutionalization, because this was a commission thing and it would have taken years to even complete. So now I wanted him to understand the significance of the question that I'm asking him. And I was merely trying to explain to him the context.
Where are you taking it to?
My lady, after he had given me an answer, whatever answer that he decides to give, I was willing to move on from that, because this is what is stated by another witness, and this witness has been even accepted as an expert. So I wanted to understand whether indeed what this witness has said is actually true or not.
But he has already told you that indeed that was the situation. So what?
If your ladyship were to...
The only
read
problem,
through-
yes, the only problem is you keep on digging from him, right? That is what council is having a problem with. But I'm saying to you, you have confirmed what Dr. Talatala has said, isn't it? From the witness.
Yes, my lady.
So
To a
you still
certain
want
extent,
the
we
witness
have-
then to say whether this was a contradiction of what was happening at the time? Because all what Dr. Talatala is saying in contradiction to what has been happening. Then we were told about they were going to build 300 beds at Tara and at Vescopis.
But he goes on to say further, my lady, with respect that it was a deviation from the deinstitutionalization plan. So this is part of, this is now the witness said he doesn't seem to understand what I mean by deviation. So I was merely trying to assist the witness in that regard, to give him a context so that he understands where the question is coming from. That was not digging further than what is required, because I merely put it to him.
Okay,
what was
just one question and then you
deviation.
close it and then we continue, because I mean the court at the end of the day will have to decide as to whether this is relevant or not, isn't it? And whether that can assist, because in fact I don't get where you're going, but let's hear where you're going. One question and then we lay the matter to rest. Thank you, Mr.
I am indebted to her ladyship.
Yes.
Thank you, my lady.
Thank you. Can the witness come back? Please rephrase your question.
Yes, the court pleases.
I'm back.
Yes, thank you.
Dr. Silvano, just so that I understand you properly and I'm able to assist if I can, are you saying you don't understand the word deviation as it is applied in this context?
Well, I was saying I'm supposed to comment on what another doctor said, and he said deviate from this to that. So that's why I said to you, it didn't make sense on our side to start saying, oh, let's deviate by commissioning a hospital so that we can quickly do this. It doesn't work like that. We know government. To start commissioning something like that would give you about a year. You even do stroke of, then they come back to you, engineers and everybody. 2 years later, that's when you probably would start thinking of building. So that's why I was saying it's not like it was something that could be done in a month. Never. It would never happen that way.
Okay. Just the question that I have from what you've just stated, Dr. Silvano, this commissioning of this 900 additional beds, what was the purpose for it?
I mean, the Gauteng population is expanding. There's a big explosion on mental health. You can't say we'll wait until our hospitals, well, not now, then they were being overridden by patients who come due to substance abuse. When do you start planning then? You can't plan much later. That was the purpose. It was not the only one that was going to be built, by the way.
Okay. If anything, my lady, I'll leave it for my arguments.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Talatala, earlier you mentioned that
not Talatala.
Oh, sorry. Hey, right. No. I don't know what's happening. Apologies, Dr. Silvano.
No offense, Council.
Dr. Silvano.
And you must remember, it's not Talatala, it's Dr. Talatala.
Talatala.
Now he's now Kosa. You have 10 Continue.
No. Dr. Silvano, you mentioned that when I asked you earlier regarding NGOs and whether there were whether the department had the money to actually pay the NGOs, you indicated that you don't get involved. It's not done by you, it's done at a financial level or something of that nature. Am I correct?
Department, yeah. There's a finance department. The finance department has under it budget department. That's where now they look at the money given to the whole department, then they segment it the way they know themselves. This, for medicines, for this, for that. Then inside those budgets, there are budget items for infrastructure, for HIV, for this, for that. So if you were to ask me then, I would have said, give me time, I'll come back and tell you what is inside the budget. So.
Okay, I'm going to refer you to page 36612.
Three.
6612.
Okay. 366.
Yeah, 36612. 12.
Yeah, it's upside down, but we'll live with it on our.
Yeah,
Is that the one with a table?
No. My lady, I don't know, maybe because of the changes that happened on case lines.
The wrong number. What is it all about so that your colleagues can assist? These are tables.
This is a statement by an affidavit by Hannah Hendrika Jacobus.
Is it on page? It can be on 36612.
My lady, I downloaded the bundle earlier in the process.
Can you
So
assist
the
us, because
numbering
I'm
of
also
pages.
in the tables myself. That page is it's not the statement of.
My lady,
in
Mr.
particular,
Jacobs' statement is on 1503.
1503.
I don't know if that is the correct one, but that's where
Let's
it is.
just, can you check that?
Okay.
The statement that I'm referring to, no? The statement that I'm referring to has about 33 paragraphs, and I was gonna deal with paragraph 27.1. If your ladyship can notice, I've got a hard copy of some of the documents in the record on case line because I downloaded the bundle. So it seems that the number.
Then maybe the case line is case line. Can I check that page that you were talking about, Mr. van Bergen?
My lady, that affidavit does not have 27 paragraphs, so it must be a different one. Could it perhaps be the amended one that was handed up?
Yes, that is possible, because apparently there were only two statements of the Ms. Jacobus. Am I correct, Mr. Pina? I think it was only that the statement that she made, and also the corrected version, and then that. Just check what that document is. Remember, Mr. Pinar filed a notice of amendment. Is that a notice of an amendment that you are talking about, Mr. Pitlela?
No, Maneli, Mr. Pinar did not amend the entire affidavit. He only amended certain
but we
portions.
want to know what you are referring us to.
My lady,
I hear another voice. Is it Mrs. Bandelender?
It is, my lady. I think it may be at page 36643.
Okay, that one could be it. Let's just.
It's not. It's an annexure to Ms. Sutherland's affidavit, I think.
Okay,
366.
36643.
Yes, that may.
My lady.
83 paragraphs.
It's quite an extensive affidavit.
Starting from I think it consists of 33 pages. Am I correct? But list of 28.1 to 28.8?
That is the one, my lady.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bandelende.
Thank you, my lady.
So the witness should go to page 36643.
Yes. Were there 27.1 again? Were there, my lady?
Okay. You may proceed,
Yeah.
Mr. Pisila.
I am indebted to the Honorable Court, my lady. At the end there, here, if you read this paragraph, it speaks about the budget process. Do you agree, Doctor?
No,
Did he read it? Can he be afforded just the opportunity to look at that specific paragraph?
Yes, Court, please.
I've looked at it, my lady.
Come again?
I said I've looked
Have you
at
looked
it,
at the paragraph?
Yes, I've read it, yes.
This is a statement by, let me see.
Anna Yakuba,
Anna-
my lady.
Yes, it starts from page 36623.
Yes, Court, please.
Yes, you may continue.
Yes, at the end there, I was saying to the witness that what is detailed here is the budgeting process. And at the end of the statement, it says the final budget that the Mental Health Directorate will send to the office of the HOD for approval. Is that correct to say that is how the process unfolds?
Before I can even approve, I wouldn't know what to approve. The district, you see, here you are talking about one item here, but let's talk to that. According to what I've read, the districts have satisfied themselves that the budget is okay. Then they take it to the head office finance department, where they then integrate it in the bigger provincial budget, not one budget, a bigger provincial budget. Then they will then segment it accordingly. The CFO will go through it, the budget, chief director for budgets will go it. Then they sit and say, this is the budget for Gauteng Health with all the individual districts, budget for this, budget for this. Then I sign it, yes. But you see, she just jumped that part and said as if I'll sign her budget and her budget only. No, doesn't make like
But
that.
as just to interject here, when I read this paragraph, it relates to determining the budget for NGOs.
Yes.
So I hear you are just talking about a bigger picture of the whole department.
It's because, thank you, my lady. It's because it doesn't work that then I will sit and look at individual NGO budgets. It's not what I do.
Yes, but remember, just a second, this witness who wrote this affidavit, she was in charge of, she was responsible for NGOs, isn't it?
That's right.
That is why she only talks about the budget relating to NGOs.
NGOs. And then she talks more about what the process that she thinks she knows.
That is the process that she's talking about, which relates only to NGOs.
The line item on NGOs. That's why I call it a line item. It's one item in the whole district.
Yes.
Yes, she's not, in real terms, she's not incorrect. She could have just said, then the final approval will be done by the HOD, meaning that she takes the whole district budget and all the other districts for different budgets and hospitals and everybody. Then I do the approval of all budgets, not one line item. I wouldn't be able to do that.
Can we not belabor on the matter? Mr. Peter?
Yes, my lady. I am satisfied to move on from that. That's the portion that I wanted to establish, whether ultimately these things end at the feet of the witness, Dr. Silibano.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, Dr. Silibano, among the people that I represent, there is one, Ethel Ngube. And I'm gonna take you to a statement which is supported by evidence that has already been led. With the numbering, my lady, having changed, I shudder to even mention the number, but it's exhibit GG1.
GG1. This is Ethel Ngube's statement. Can you please assist us there? GG1. What page could that be?
On the hard copies, it says 1465, but I strongly I've reason to suspect that numbering has changed.
No, it's still there.
1465.
Yeah, 1465.
Yes, I think that is the correct one.
Oh, okay.
1465, yes.
Doctor, this is a statement by one of the people that I represent, Ms. Ethel Ngube. I don't intend to take you through the entire statement.
Okay.
I'm only
This
going to
relates
refer
to
you.
the NGO Precious Angels.
That is correct, my lady. I'm indebted to your ladyship. I only want to deal with paragraph 9 because it makes reference specifically to you. Your name is mentioned in the statement, and I want to give you the opportunity to confirm whether this is accurate or not. Are you with me, doctor?
Yes, I'm with you.
May I ask you then to read paragraph 9? I believe it extends to the next page. Not paragraph 9. Seems like
I can't see. Where should I go?
Apologies, doctor. It starts on paragraph 13. I'm sorry.
13.
It's on page 1468.
Okay.
It's quite a long paragraph because it
No,
extends to the next page.
Paragraph 11.
1-3, my lady. It's
Okay,
the
paragraph
numbering
8.
is off, so
No,
that's
it's
what
fine.
threw
You
me
say
off.
it's paragraph 13. That's fine.
Yeah, it's written 13, but it's supposed to be 11, I think, if one follows consecutive numbering.
Oh, okay. It is the paragraph that comes immediately after paragraph 10.
That is correct, my lady. It extends to the next page and it makes mention of Dr. Esidimeni.
No, that's fine. I'm trying to look at the paragraph. Just a second, please.
Okay.
All right. Yes.
Yes, Doctor, if you have read the statement, you see that it mentions a planned visit. And this was in response to a mix-up of patients that happened at Anchor House. Do you see that?
I saw that.
Yes. And do you confirm that you accompanied the MEC on this particular day to Anchor House after there was an issue of mix-up, the mixing of male and female patients at CCRC?
No, I think she was informed that I'm coming. I never went to that statement there. It's erroneous. I never went to Precious Angels with MEC, never. I think maybe she
Not
wanted to see
Precious
something.
Angels.
Okay. I don't know
Just to
why.
assist you. What Missing Ngube is connected to Precious Angels.
Okay.
Now she
Sorry
received
about
a
that.
call.
Sorry about that.
Yes. She received a call from Hannah Jacobas indicating that she must rush to Anchor to fetch
Okay.
some of the patients because there's been a mix-up of male and female patients in some of the wards. So those patients need to be removed before you and the MEC could arrive because they were afraid that they would lose their jobs. So the incident did not happen at Precious
sorry about
Angels.
that.
It
My
happened at
apologies.
Anchor.
It's my haste. My point is I've never accompanied the MEC, whether it's Anchor or in that statement. I think she mentions it, but it never happened. I never went
Yes.
there. Never. Yes.
That is the
Okay.
context. Yes, I get you,
I never went there.
Mr. Pitlela. If you look at
That is enough, my lady.
okay, are you satisfied? That's fine.
I'm satisfied. I mean, if he says he never went with the MEC
never,
there, then
never,
it's
never.
fine.
Continue.
Now, I also represent Miss Karina Morale of Tsepong Healthcare Center, which is one of the NGOs that formed part of the Marathon Project or received patients under the auspices of the Marathon Project. You mentioned that you never received an indication of the problems that were being experienced by NGOs, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to refer you to page 550. That is her statement. I think, my lady, it's exhibit FF1. 550. It's exhibit FF1, my lady.
The page is correct. I think the statement starts on
It should start, my lady, on page
547.
547. As court
Yes.
pleases. Now, paragraph 11 of that statement is very short. If you want to read it, you can read it.
Okay. They have not communicated. And letter to faulty embassy. Okay, just go down because I don't see one. First of September 2016.
I apologize, my lady. The
I
power
don't see
just
my
went
name.
out, so I was trying to make alternatives.
Okay.
Are you sure, Counsel? Because I'm trying to say, you said my name is mentioned. I'm trying to pick up, I can't see it.
No. Your name was mentioned with reference to the previous statement by Ms. Hannah Jacobas.
Okay.
Where,
okay.
yes. And then again, with reference to sorry, with reference to the statement by Ms. Ethel Ngube, where she says you and the MEC, Gadani Matlangu,
Yeah.
that's where you were specifically mentioned by name. So here what I want to understand. What I want to understand is
if you
what
don't mind,
the
Council,
witness
where should I
says.
read? Where should I read,
Pardon?
Council? Where should I
Oh,
read?
just
Because-
paragraph 11.
or 11.
Paragraph 11. Yeah. It's very short.
Sure about
It's a few
that.
lines.
All right. Okay. I've read it. I think it's
Now, what is stated here is, this is the version or the evidence of my client, Ms. Karina Morale, Buti Morale, who stated that they had shortages of medication.
okay.
And when they went to the local clinics, as promised by the Gauteng Department of Health, to collect medication there, no? They realized that there was never any communication that happened between the department and the various clinics. So there was no linkage. She then wrote a letter to the MEC detailing these challenges, and also the kind of patients that she received, the monthly grants, the patient's medication not being provided for at the local clinic.
Okay.
Now, I seem to recall you giving an example of saying, just because one granny doesn't have medication, it doesn't mean 1, 2, 3. So, but then these challenges were communicated to the MEC. Are you saying that they never trickled down to you? The MEC never said to you that there are problems being experienced by NGOs with regard to linkages with clinics and with regard to medication, with regard to the type of patients that they received under the auspices of the Marathon Project?
Yeah. I hear you, Council, except you want me to, if I don't want to interpret what she has written here. They went to the clinic, they say, she doesn't say we didn't get they didn't have the medication in the clinic. They didn't get the medication. If you read down a bit, she then goes on to say, then we got scripts, because then medication, you don't just say, hi, it's me, I need this medication. That's where she says, we got scripts, she mentions the doctors, then they got the medication. So there might have been issues that you can't just walk into a clinic and say, I want this medication. It must be scripted, meaning a prescription, what you call a prescription. If you read it well, you'll see what I'm saying.
Doctor, you're answering a different question. The witness has said that she wrote a letter to the MEC to detail challenges that they were experiencing. And the question was, did the MEC not inform you of these challenges as his subordinate to say, go to the clinics or whatever, make a plan for the NGOs because there are problems there at the bottom?
No.
That's all I'm asking you.
Okay, yeah, I hear you. No, I don't remember MEC talking to me about that.
Okay, that suffices then. Maleda, I'm just checking my notes quickly.
Okay.
Now, the last few questions that I have for you, Dr. Silban,
Yes, Council.
they fall within the scope of your authority as the head of department. What I wanted to establish first is, when were you made aware of the first deaths that occurred at the NGOs around Tshwane?
I was never made aware of the first deaths. I don't even know it until today, the first death. I don't know it.
If I may understand, and I'm trying to understand how the reporting process worked, because one would expect that if I inform an official of the Department of Health that I have this type of problem, no, they would then escalate it to the relevant heads to say we are experiencing this kind of challenges and so on. Did you not hold meetings that pertain to the functioning, how the NGOs were performing? Was there never a meeting where you discussed the performance of the NGOs under the Marathon project?
No, there was no such meeting.
Would you agree with me, Doctor, that if an NGO reports a problem to an official of the department, that should suffice? There is no need for them to come personally to you to report it. Would you agree?
You mean the NGOs should not come
to
me?
Yes, I'm saying if an NGO, let's say in this instance,
okay,
there's an official of the department that has been assigned to handle that NGO, to assist that NGO. You agree with me that it is sufficient if the NGO reports the problems that they're having to that particular official? There is not a need for them to personally come to you as the HOD.
Correct.
And that where this was done, that was in accordance with the agreements between the department and that particular NGO.
That's how it works. Yes, that's how it works.
Thank you, Doctor. The last question I have for you is with regard to the issue of licensing. And that is for clarity, because I heard you mention that Dr. Manamela, I also have some licenses that were signed by Dr. Manamela. So you mentioned that those licenses were issued, they were properly issued by Dr. Manamela, but then you also had to issue other licenses. I didn't get how that happened and why it needed to happen.
Okay. The licenses, the Act says that the licenses must be signed by the department, meaning mental health. So in the way that they do what they do, my colleagues, they then did that, and then Dr. Manamela signed the licenses. I think it was around April. I'm not sure about the dates. If you have them, you can check. Fast forward to around November now, September, somewhere there. I'm in communication with the ombuds. The ombuds says the NGOs are unlawful because they got unlawful licenses. I said, but how? Because in fact, if you could even listen, I said, those are certificates. We issue licenses to bigger health establishments, not NGOs. So we went on and wrestled and wrestled. He says, I vehemently opposed him. And indeed, I opposed him. And in a respectful way, I said, no, Prof, no, on this one you are wrong. And then we left it at that. And then as we were working out, he said, you need, these NGOs are unlawful, and you need to regularize this thing. Prof was a vice chancellor of a big university. And then I said, okay, Prof, thank you, Prof. Then I went there and I spoke to the MEC. The MEC said, HOD, I don't know. I spoke to Dr. Manamela. I'll tell you straight. She said, don't do it. You are not supposed to be the one signing these licenses. I then went to legal. I can't tell you where did I start. I went to legal. They showed it to me that, no, you are not supposed to be the one signing. Then your ladyship and I said, hey, now the prof says he's writing the report and all this and all that. I took that decision. No one did. I took that decision. I understand, I wish I hadn't done it. But remember the cycles, the lessons are on a cycle. So 14 April to the next 14 April. That's when I said, Dr. Manamela, if I sign these things, I want you to clip them with what you have signed. That's what we did. We clipped them. And then I wrote a memo saying, I have signed these licenses to regularize after the discussion with let me say the ombuds, who insisted that these NGOs, because I have not signed, then they become unlawful, illegal, somewhere there. But however, I'm noting the following, that I will create a problem for social development, and I will raise this matter at the National Health Council Tech Committee, because then I can also create a problem for other provinces if I start doing this. And that's the memo I wrote. Unfortunately, I don't have the memo, but I was going to do that, then I was suspended. That's how it came that I signed the licenses.
Thank you for clarifying that for me, Doctor. The last question I have for you, the judge, we lost the judge, so maybe we can just wait for a little bit.
Ja, jy was by hom.
I'm here, my lady.
Yes, but I don't see you on the screen.
No.
Okay, I can see you now. Mr. Pihlela?
Yes, Your Lordship, please.
Yes, I think the system failed all of us, and now I had to switch off my computer because there were problems. So that it was very slow. We can proceed. Just want to check my case line here. Just a second. Just continue, Mr. Pihlela.
Yes, the court pleases. Dr. Mukach.
No.
Oh, sorry, Dr. Silvano. Dr. Silvano. The system has gone off on everywhere.
Yes, just bear with me. I just want to check something here. I think I'll have to leave the meeting and rejoin. I think I will have a problem. Let me just check. Do you still have a lot of questions before I do
my
that?
lady, I'm about done.
Okay, no, that's fine. Then I'll sort it out during the lunch break. All right, continue.
I'm going at the end of this inquest. We are going to argue that the Department of Health and its officials, from the bottom to the top, who were involved in this marathon project, they failed the NGOs. So we are going to base this argument on the fact that NGOs were made promises and undertakings by the department to be offered support and assistance, and which was never done. NGOs had to carry the burden, the financial burden of caring for mental health care users, which was beyond their capacity. As a result, there were food shortages, there were shortages of medication, there was improper linkages of NGOs with clinics and hospitals, and which ultimately contributed to the deaths of some of the mental health care users. Do you follow me so far, Doctor?
Yes, I follow you.
We're also going to argue that the department had the oversight responsibility to ensure that they intervened at the first death, and that at all material times they had the powers to take these mental health care users away from the NGOs, and in so doing, perhaps more lives could have been saved. Do you have any comment on that, Doctor?
No, no comment.
Thank you. My lady, that concludes my cross-examination of Dr. Silvano. Thank you, Dr. Silvano.
Thank you, Ansel.
Thank you very much. Can I check who will be next? Although it's a few minutes before 1 o'clock, let me just check. I think there was Mr. Profi. I don't know whether he has questions to the witness, Mr. Profi.
Sorry, my lady, it's Advocate Sibara.
Yes, Mr. Sibara.
Last time when Advocate Makani made a pronouncement, he indicated that we'll reserve our spot. I don't know if the court just missed us a bit.
I didn't.
Oh, thank
Because
you,
I take it that you said you were coming towards the end. I think you and the representatives for Ms. Mahlangu.
Thank you, my lady.
Yes. Mr. Profi?
As the court pleases, my lady, I do have a few questions.
Yes.
I think I'd be able to finish before lunch.
All right. My only problem is to access our case line for now, but it's fine. I will sort that out after the lunch break. That's fine.
My lady, my question only relates to a case lines document, so I am going to refer to case lines.
Okay. Maybe I should just exit the meeting quickly and I'll come back.
My lady, would you like us to try and see if we can put it up on the screen? Would that assist?
I don't know what is it that he's going to, but I don't think I'll take long. That's fine. It's just. Oh. You may proceed.
As the call pleases, good afternoon, Doctor. How are you this afternoon?
Thank you, Councillor. I'm holding on. Thank you.
My name is Mr. Profi. I appear on behalf of 3 interested parties, being NGOs. The NGO I'll be asking you a question on relates to Ubushle Inkosi. If I may proceed, my lady.
Before you go to the questions, you know what you're supposed to do, isn't it?
My lady, Mr. Priscilla canvassed the majority of the questions I had. It relates to the licenses, and so I just want to conclude the aspect of license specifically to Ubushle Inkosi.
Is it the only question that you're going to ask?
Correct, my lady.
Okay, you may do so.
Doctor, could we please turn to page 2337?
Page?
20337, my lady. If the doctor could just peruse the license on page 20337, as well as the license, apologies, the license that reflects on 20337 is the license signed by Dr. Manamela. And if the doctor could also, am I on the correct? I just want to ensure that I'm on the correct page, my lady. 2338.
Yes, there is one. The one on 20337 was signed by Dr. Manamela, and the one on the next page was signed by Dr. himself, Dr. Sullivan.
Correct, my lady. I just want the doctor
Yes.
to peruse the 2 licenses in respect of Ubushle Inkosi. Doctor, you just indicate when you're done perusing the licenses.
Meaning you want me to read them or just...
No, just look at them so
Okay.
that when questions come,
Okay.
you'll be able to respond.
Okay, I've seen them.
Okay, continue, Mr. Profi.
Jesus. Doctor, as I stated, majority, the evidence you gave to Ms. Foster was cleared up by Mr. Pishela. So as it relates to the licenses, I now understand your evidence. The questions I'm going to ask you relate to Ubushle Inkosi, and I want to be fair to you and give you the background so that when you answer, you understand the background I'm asking these questions within. So in respect of this NGO, they'd moved multiple times at the knowledge and authorization of the department. Now, I'm not going to give you an extensive background because I accept your evidence that you did not know much as it related to the NGOs. So I'm going to keep it specific to this license. So the issue Ubushle Inkosi had related to when the users arrived in June of 2016. She received users that was out of the NGO's category. That's why I'm asking you these questions. So you said that you had clipped Dr. Manamela's license to your license when you did the memo. Would I be correct to assume that when you say you clipped them, would this be an example? Because they're the same NGO.
Yeah, it should be. It should be.
So now my follow-up question to that is, my issue is in respect of the category of persons, that Dr. Manamela's license reflects chronic psychiatric disability, which is what the NGO was within their category, whereas yours reflects severe psychiatric disability, which is not within their category. So who told you to sign a license for Obuhlebhi Nkosi that reflected that they should be licensed for severe psychiatric disability?
You said the first one says what?
So Dr. Manamela's license reflects chronic psychiatric disability.
Chronic, okay.
Which is correct. And then yours reflects severe psychiatric disability. So who told you to sign a license for Obuhlebhi Nkosi reflecting severe psychiatric disability?
I'm trying to think first whether severe and chronic are materially different. They are not materially different. So who gave me the licenses to sign? It will be Dr. Manamela.
Thank you, Doctor. And now I want to catch on the point that you say they're not materially different.
They may not. Yeah, I was just trying to work in my head whether can they really be materially different. Maybe I'm wrong. Psychiatrists will say I'm wrong, but I wouldn't think that much. Yeah.
Because practically the NGO in expecting chronic, she had the experience and expected chronic. So when she received such severely ill patients, she had communicated to the department that she doesn't have the medication, the equipment, and the tools, nor the staff to look after severe psychiatric disabled patients. So the consequence of your license had far-reaching effects on the NGO.
Well, chronic can be severe, and it also severe can still be chronic also. So I'll give it to you. It's yeah, it's a moot point now.
Thank you. Then, Doctor, the other element I wish to canvass with you is in relation to the address. It's more just to your experience, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the NGO only moved to Centurion on the 1st of September. So is it correct, should this license that not reflect for the Centurion premise, should that license period not be 1 September to 31 March 2017?
I wouldn't know, honestly. I don't deal with the nitty-gritties of that. I wouldn't know.
No, I'm asking in relation to any facility when you issue a license. Do you issue a license for that specific period, no matter when the facility gets the license? Or do you issue the license for specifically when the facility moves to that address?
The way with licenses, if the license is for a particular place, if it wants to move to, they apply, and we can still give the license to that particular place. I think even as long as it's within a 5-kilometer radius. So I wouldn't know. In this instance, I wouldn't know exactly whether it applies the same way.
Who would know?
The mental health care unit led by Dr. Manamela, they would know that.
I will take that up with Dr. Manamela. My lady, that I just wish to, if your comment in the following respect, that I had explained to you that the NGO had moved with the authority of the department in June, in August, and September. Am I correct that she should have received a license for each premise?
I don't know. I told you that my role was confined to the fact that the Ombud said something, and that's that. So I wouldn't know the nitty-gritties that you're asking me. I don't know.
But so why I'm asking you that is, would it not align, what I'm saying to you, align with the concerns of the ombuds that we have NGOs moving at the authority of the department, but where they're moving to, those premises do not have licenses?
I don't know. If you want me to comment on that, I can't comment on that.
Thank you, Doctor. But I have no further questions for the doctor.
Thank you. At this point, I think we should take the lunch adjournment. We'll resume at 2 o'clock. The doctor is warned. Thank you, Craig.
Please, no, I'm just acknowledging your ladyship.
Thank you very much.
Escort, please.
As a
Under cross-examination. The first is the Premier's Budget Committee and the presentation that was made at the Premier's Budget Council. Correct, yes. Thank you for that. Pursuant to which the decision was made that the Life Esidimeni contract be terminated. Do you recall that?
I recall that.
Yes. Now that presentation, do I have it correct that all the officials or most of the officials from the department at a senior level would compose that presentation?
Indeed, indeed. Please say that we all sit and work on that, and then the only person who can speak then would be the MEC.
My lady, I see that Mr. Pitlela has his hand up.
Okay, thank you. I don't see whose hand is that. Yes, Mr. Pitlela.
My lady, I do apologize for interrupting the cross-examination. With regard to the previous question that I was asked, I just wanted to obtain clarity whether that is the version of the Premier. Was it the MEC?
The Premier or the MEC?
Yeah, the MEC. Whether a version was that she gave instructions for the removal of patients, because I understood from the testimony of Dr. Silvano that he exercised the discretion and did that. So it's just something that I wanted to understand, my lady.
Okay.
I do apologize.
From the witness
for the
side,
now
what is being put to the witness is that was the removal. The person who took the decision to remove was the MEC, and she did that on her own prevailing circumstances at the time, not because of her engagement with the minister. So that one, then the witness says he doesn't have any reason to dispute that. Am I capturing you the right way, Ms. Gavenda? That is the evidence.
That's how I understood it, my lady.
Yes. So that's it. To you, what we know is that to you, or when you cross-examined the witness indicated that he took the decision on his own. Now he says he can't dispute what the MEC would say regarding
yes, that is what that is the confusion, my lady. That I was
yes, but that
with.
is what we have. Then you can deal with it, isn't it?
I will accept it as the version of the MEC, my lady. As God pleases.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Martin.
Thank you, my lady. My lady, with respect to Mr. Piklela, I'm not sure that he can do that. Ms. Govender's putting a version. And if he's somehow confused about that version, he can ask the MEC when she gives her evidence. But I don't think he can permit stride.
This is what we have. It is the evidence. That is the reason why we have cross-examination and other things.
As it pleases.
Thank you.
Yes, hence, my lady, the indication was whether it's the version of the MEC, because I didn't capture that.
That is the version of the MEC.
Then I've got no issue with it, my lady.
Thank you.
As God pleases.
Can we move on, Ms. Governor? Sorry for the interruption.
As the court pleases, my lady. Dr. Selaba.
We were talking about the composition of the presentation.
That's correct, my lady. Dr. Selaba, I think you had already confirmed before my learned friends addressed you that the officials from the department composed the presentation for the MEC to present at the PBC. Do I have you correctly?
Correct, you are correct.
And in terms of the termination of the Life Esidimeni project, can you recall, and if you can't recall, that's perfectly fine, but can you recall which officials specifically made input into the presentation?
I always recall budget, people from budget. I'm sure it's because they were the ones who were more louder about the issue of that our budget is on monthly basis is overstretched. Those are the guys that I really honestly remember. There could have been other people who said other things. I remember the budget people.
Yes, thank you. So if I understand you, it's not
I see, I don't know whether Mr. Pitlela's hand is up or what is happening. If you can lower it. If you don't
apologies, my lady, I forgot to lower.
Yeah, I understand it's in the afternoon now. Thank you.
As the court pleases. So it's, if I understand you, it's not as if the MEC composes the information in the presentation herself and then presents.
It is not possible for her or senior managers to do this. You depend on all other people to give their inputs.
The men on the ground, as it were.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. I'd like to take you back to page 534. That's Mr. Mosenogi's statement. I believe we've labeled it as Annexure F1.
From where I stand.
Okay, thank you.
Unless if it's something that is control, my lady. But we'll
Thank
try
you very much. Can I postpone the matter? Things postponed for October to hear the evidence of Dr. Manamela. Thank you very much.
Ms. Marriott,
Thank you.